What is the hard problem of consciousness? This term was first coined by philosopher David Chalmers in 1995. It is the philosophical puzzle that questions both philosophers and scientists about how and why physical processes in our brain give rise to subjective experiences. Subjective experience means what it is like for you to experience something. For example, what it is like to experience the redness of the color red. We might know everything physical about the color, for example, the physics behind it, like its wavelength. We can even know what neural signals in our brain are responsible to identify and distinguish the color red from other colors. But this cannot explain the sensation of the redness that you experience while observing the color red. Our thinking process, perception, and memory can be completely explained by this physical process in our brain. So this can be referred to as the easy problem. But how and why this same physical process give rise to our awareness that we are experiencing something is the hard problem of consciousness. This awareness is also known as qualia or the first person experience. We can realize how deep this hard problem when one asks us about some of our favorite experience. Whenever we try to explain those incidents from our memory, we can explain many things like what we saw, what we heard, but one thing that we cannot explain is what was so special about those experiences when we were experiencing them. We all agree that what is stored in our memory about those experiences has hell and heaven differences from those actual experiences. So isn't it strange that our brain stores them as something very special but can't capture anything special about them? That's why we find difficulty in explaining our own experiences to others. Yes, here lies the hard problem. There are 4 popular approaches to explain this problem. The first one is the reductionist approach. This approach reduces consciousness as a physical phenomenon. Its believers often try to explain that this first-person experience is generated from some very specific and unique patterns among the neural connection in our brain. Though this theory could not explain consciousness, the reductionists are confident that someday the hard problem will be resolved as a complete physical phenomenon. The second approach is Mysterianism. This addresses that the hard problem of consciousness arises only because our brain is not capable of understanding consciousness. It is similar to how our brain is incapable of visualizing dimension that is higher than 3. But the believers of Mysterianism never came up with any specific explanation to solve this mystery. The third approach is the dualist approach. It was first proposed by French philosopher René Descartes in 17th century. Dualists claim that consciousness is not a physical phenomenon. Interaction between this non-physical world of consciousness and the physical world where our body belongs gives rise to the first-person experience. This theory may sound fascinating, but it cannot answer one fundamental question. How can a non-physical phenomenon affect the physical world? Because from the laws of physics, we know that if something happens in the physical world, there must be a cause in the physical world. So if consciousness is a non-physical phenomenon, then our experience cannot be affected by consciousness. The fourth popular approach is panpsychism. It questions physicists at a fundamental level. This theory suggests that if on the fundamental level everything from which we are made is made of consciousness itself. But this theory also lacks an explanation of how this micro-level consciousness combines to create the first-person experience. In conclusion, we can say that so far no theory has been able to explain consciousness completely. This remains an open problem for both science and philosophy. Until then, it is the hard problem of consciousness.